You feel this nervousness on the phone there?
Sir, I've been trying to make an urgent phone call up there.
Well, I don't think it's something I want to do on an overseas phone.
You gotta make some phone calls. Hang up the phone. Prank caller. Prank caller.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Packernet After Dark. This is the call-in show, the Packernet Podcast Network. If you'd like to call in, if you'd like to participate in the show, please feel free to do so. The phone number here is 608-501-0718. New callers go directly to the front of the line, and we do have a new caller today. So, new caller, what's going on, man?
Hey, Ryan, it's Eric from Madison, new caller, longtime listener. I just listened to your last podcast where you talked a lot of trash and pulled some receipts. I'd love if you spent a little bit of time, do that again. Keep that shit up. God, I love that. It gets me fired up. Love it. That's it. Just want to hear some more receipts. All right, thanks for everything you do. Bye. Yeah,
dude. Yeah, I enjoy it too. I never know if you guys like it as much as I do, but man, does it feel good. Because if you're in it too, it's not just me. I mean, those were my specific comments and all the whatever. But a lot of you guys are in that on the ground floor with me as well. There are some Packer fans that are on the wrong side of history here, for sure. But I can't fathom that very many of them listen to this podcast. But listen, that is my, not only my prerogative, it is my reward, I suppose you could say. It's my reward for enduring the pain through the offseason. I have to put up with not only Bears fans, but essentially being the outcast, being the one that everybody looks at. Bears fans, Packers fans, Vikings fans, Lions fans, random, Chargers fans that happen to come across my post or whatever, depending on how big that post gets. With everybody looking at you going, "You're stupid. You don't know football. Learn ball, bro." Blah, blah, blah. Because most of these casual fans have been conditioned by either the national media or the NFL draft industrial complex or whatever you want to call it. But like the greatest drafters are the ones that draft in the top 10, and the only reason they're great drafters are because of the picks in the top 10, and we don't even pay attention to anything after that. But despite that psychosis, that's not how that works. You know what I mean? That's not how that works. I always go back to, I remember when, this was several years ago, call it, 5 years ago or something, I was listening to, it was like the Draft Guys podcast. I don't even know if these things exist anymore. I haven't really been listening to a lot of draft podcasts. This is back when, different things were in existence, I guess. But they were talking about how terrible of a draft it was. And I think the reason they called it a terrible draft is because there weren't quarterbacks and there weren't a ton of wide receivers, and they called it a terrible draft. It's like, bro, there are like elite tackles and great, corners and all this stuff, but they hated it because the flashy ones aren't there. And that really comes down to quarterback is the one everybody cares about the most, or at least not everyone. Some teams don't care because they're not looking for quarterbacks, but the teams that are care. And then the national media people, that's the thing they focus on the most. I always used to critique the draft because we'd be picking at pick 24 or something on a given year. And by the time our pick comes around, we make a pick. You talk about it for a solid 5 minutes, and then they go back to talking about the quarterback that got picked at pick 4. Bro, there's more to this than the top 5 picks and the top quarterbacks that got picked, especially considering we already basically knew where that guy was going, and we've been talking about that guy forever. Can we start talking about some of the other people that maybe everybody doesn't know? But no, that's not what it's about. It's all about the flashy stuff, the cool stuff, the top 10 guys, and then it's about the quarterbacks, the wide receivers. Then after that, it's, maybe kind of the running backs. Pass rushers are pretty cool, But by the time you get to the back of the first round, nobody cares what you did anymore. Nothing you did was good. Nothing matters. The second the Bears picked Caleb, they had the best draft. It was over. It was done. The Bears got the most elite quarterback that has ever graced our presence since Peyton Manning, and he's maybe even better than that. And that's it. That's all anybody ever needs to know. It has nothing to do with the skill of the GM. It has nothing to do with the maneuvering or how many draft picks you have or how you acquired them or any of that stuff. None of that matters. That doesn't mean a thing. The only thing that matters is you got the best guy, and so it's done now. And that's stupid. And I said the right and correct things all through the period when there was no information, because we can just make things up in the offseason. It's part of the benefit of the offseason. Everybody's great. Everything's wonderful. But you tell the truth in that period of time, especially when it happens to be negative, and people don't like it. The benefit of doing it, though, is that eventually reality comes around the corner. And now is my moment to reap my rewards. Now, I could be the bigger man and I could walk away, but why should I? I've stored up these rewards. Just because it was a long time ago doesn't mean anything. Why should they be able to get away with that? What is the theory, that they get to just be stupid and obnoxious and just outrightly vulgar and horrible, some of them? To lie and be stupid and to scream and, mock you and ridicule you. They get to do all that stuff. And the extra added benefit of them doing it, which is an extra added encouragement for them doing it, is that by the time we all realize that they were wrong, everybody's moved on and nobody really cares. And those guys get to pretend that they never said it. And they get to call for the firing of Poles and how terrible Flus is and how terrible it was to draft a punter. They get to do that and nobody calls them out. Great. That's a great plan. That's a great plan. So I just get to take it between the legs all off season. And then when I'm right, the right thing to do is to shut your mouth. And these obnoxious people get to not be obnoxious all year round because they're still being obnoxious. They're being obnoxious with firing everybody else, or being obnoxious by lying about the fact that they didn't love everything the Chicago Bears did, and now get to pretend that if they were in control, they would have done something different when they absolutely would not have. They asked for this, they got this, they praised this, they defended this, they attacked anyone that said anything other than praising this, and now they get their reward. And we know this. The Bears get the offseason. That's what they get. Bears fans get the offseason. That's when they're in control. That's when they're the best. That's when inexplicably everybody believes that they're going to be great. All this stuff, like it just keeps happening. All right, and there's nothing you can do about it. You can argue it. You can pull up data, facts, the past, history, comments they've said before. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's the offseason. You can say whatever you want. Any fictional reality that you want to be real is real, and nobody can tell you otherwise. But this time is our time. This is when we actually get to go to the playoffs while they sit at home. This is where we get to point and laugh at the Chicago Bears and pull their receipts. This is our time, and I'm going to relish in it. Eric from Madison, I appreciate the call. Hope you call back in, because that was fun. That was a good time. It was a great way to start the show. I got the blood flowing, dude. I'm all jacked up now. I'm freaking jacked up. Who's next? Randy in Minnesota. Let's keep this thing going.
Hey, Ryan. It's Randy from Minnesota.
What's up?
Thank you for expressing my anger and frustration.
That's what I do.
On your pod the other day at that game. That was freaking ridiculous. It was just blatant. I had a couple observations. One was with the Bears. The Bears are the Packers of the 70s and 80s when they couldn't get out of their own way. And they will continue to be like this until they get new ownership that decides to let football people run a football program. They might have little blurps where they're good, but then they'll go back to being what they are, trash.
Yep.
And the Lions, it's funny, we were watching the game, and you guys stole my thunder yesterday, because I was going to bring it up now. I looked at my wife, I said, my God, the Lions are the Kansas City Chiefs of the NFC. It's just incredible what they're doing for that team. And the other observation is the Lions are new money. Packers are old money.
That's true.
And the fan bases act accordingly.
That's true.
The Lions act like the guy that...
let me elaborate on that, because that's kind of an interesting point. When you when you look at these kinds of things, as far as, and I hadn't even really thought about this concept, it's just something that's kind of been in the back of my head. Have you noticed when, for example, the Bears fans would rub in our faces that Justin Fields like outsold Aaron Rodgers jerseys or Jordan Love jerseys or something like that? I think overall, and even in certain parts of Wisconsin, or maybe overall in Wisconsin, I don't really know, but that was kind of the point that was made. At some point, a fan base that's done nothing but win has got all the jerseys. They've got all the stuff, right? I mean, there's a small flurry of Jordan Love things, but it's different than when you just draft a guy in the first round, right? It's different than when you get a guy in the top 10 and he's going to save your franchise, as opposed to this guy that's been sitting on your bench for 3 years. There's been a trickle of Jordan Love jerseys drafted here and there. Maybe when he got drafted, there was a handful that got picked, and but then you've got people that just think he's bad, and then you got people that hate him because he's the reason Rodgers is gone or whatever the thing is. And then he starts, and some additional people might buy some Jordan Love jerseys, but he's not very good. And then he becomes good, so a handful more people buy jerseys. There is an influx of new fans, rejuvenated fans, right? The fans that have been hiding in their closet for years coming out and buying all the gear because all this, now I got to get an Amon-Ra St. Brown jersey. I got to get a Goff jersey. I got to go buy tickets now. There is a flood of money that comes into these franchises, whereas Green Bay, they've got a massive fan base, don't get me wrong, but as far as being motivated to do something new, to increase revenue, there's no increase. It's the same number of Packer fans filling the stadium every Sunday, right? It's always full. As far as any additional revenue, I mean, the idea that Packer fans even travel well, I don't even think is necessarily true anymore. We can't even pack our own stadium. It's kind of embarrassing. It used to be a big deal where, our stadium was always full with Packer fans, and then you go to these other stadiums, they're half full with Packer fans. That's not the case anymore. Occasionally, especially if it's a place where the fans don't even show up, Jacksonville or Chargers games or something like that, they're empty anyways. But Lambeau Field is about half full with the opposing fans all the time. I don't think Packer fans necessarily travel very well anymore. I don't see it as much. It just seems like it's a fan base that's just kind of been there, done that, and now they just sit back and expect wins. You want a Packers jersey? No, I don't need I got enough Packers stuff. I'm even to that point. Like, it used to be when I got married to my wife, my wife would always get me Packer stuff. Her parents would always buy me Packer stuff. It was, and I loved it. It was great. After a while, though, you've got enough Packer stuff. I have Packer pants, Packer pajamas, Packer gloves, Packer jacket, Packer hats, Packer this, Packer. I got all the Packer stuff. Okay. Now I just sit, and my son too. Like he's I'm not going to say he's Packered out. I'm sure he would not be opposed to. He still loves his Packers cards, which are not a massive moneymaker, like 25 cents to get the kid a card or something. Or, something big like a signed jersey or whatever. Obviously, he'd be over the moon about that. But like we're good, dude. We're good on merch. So yeah, this is a new industry. This is a booming industry. This is a massive increase as far as Lions fans not only packing their own stadium, but packing other people's stadiums, buying merchandise, buying all of this stuff. They're ripe for the picking and spending all kinds of money on television and everything else. Detroit media is like local media, podcasts, all that stuff is going to be booming now. I'm honestly happy for guys like Dosa Dion. He was doing great anyways, but that guy has just been suffering through it as a YouTuber. Now, he is a YouTuber that has obviously been there through the dark times, has rode with this team, and now he's a podcaster or YouTuber for one of the most powerful teams in the NFL right now, maybe the most powerful team. It's great for them. And so, yeah, as far as the NFL is concerned, the Packers are boring. They're a small market team. They're not a huge moneymaker. Their fans are bored and boring, probably. Lambeau is, the mystique has kind of worn off. They'll say it, when they show up to, I was here. When I was here, it was the most magical experience of my life. It was wonderful. You got to come here at least once. Like, they go through the spiel, but overall, nobody cares anymore. Nobody cares. And they're over it. And this started back with Rodgers. We started seeing this. They wanted the downfall of the Packers. They were tired of talking about the Packers. And they're still tired of it. But you're right. I mean, Kansas City was a smaller market team, no fans, terrible franchise, and look what happened. So yeah, they want Detroit to be the next thing. There's no doubt in my mind. Anyways, sorry, continue.
Just won the lottery. He's never had jack squat for cash. And he's going out being stupid, being flashy, excuse me. And the Packers are old money. They're used to championships. They're used to winning, and they act like it. And that's the difference. Dan Campbell, this stuff, this fourth down, this machismo stuff, this is going to bite him in the butt. It's going to bite that whole team in the butt at some point. And I just hope it's the Packers that do it. I would love to take them down, obviously, in the NFC Championship game. That would be such sweet revenge. But we got to get there. We got to earn it, as Coach said. But anyway, I just want to say thanks, thanks, Ryan, for expressing how I actually felt about that game. And appreciate what you do. Appreciate the phone callers. Go Pack, go. Bye.
Yeah, and listen, everything I said might be true. It doesn't have to matter either. We're not going to be the Golden Boys anymore. It'll get there if Jordan goes back to the top, but it looks like he's kind of just middling down at the bottom 10. He's ascending a little bit, but there aren't a lot of superstars. We don't have a superstar wide receiver. We don't have a superstar quarterback. We don't have a superstar pass rusher. We don't have a superstar anything. The closest thing we have to a superstar right now is our head coach. And half the fan base doesn't really appreciate him, and the national media certainly doesn't appreciate him. They put together a list of who should be coach of the year. They'll put 5-10 coaches on there. Matt LaFleur won't even show up on it. But again, it doesn't have to matter. They don't want us to be in the running, but it doesn't matter because we are. They probably don't want us to win a Super Bowl. That doesn't matter. We're gonna. So screw you guys. How about that? All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We got another Randy from Minnesota.
Hi, Ryan. It's Randy from Minnesota again. I forgot on my last call. I really wish that there were PSF grades for the referees. There's got to be something out there that are grading these referees. I know there is, but I wish it would be like a PFF score so everyone can see what these guys are doing. I know you gave us, that this squad usually just lets them play, or this squad's calling a lot of procedural calls. But each individual referee should have a PSF grade type of thing that we could all look at. Anyway, just a thought. Maybe it's out there already, and I don't know where it's at, but that would be interesting to look at. Anyway, go Pack, go. Bye.
Yeah, so I'm all about stuff like this. I'm in the middle of working on a little side project here as we speak. The complication, there's always complications. This one is major complications because, first of all the issues are going to be subjective. Second of all, you're going to need probably an army of people, kind of like PFF has, to actually manually do a lot of this work. So, those are some of the general complications. Otherwise, if somebody wanted a little passion project, essentially you would just have to, you could start a Twitter account, and you could have a website attached to it if you wanted to, but essentially you look for controversial calls, and then I don't know if you can necessarily know who exactly threw the flag, but you could at least know what crew it is. So you could have all the crews, you figure out which crew is assigned to which, this, that, or the other, and then you can find out which calls are controversial. And I suppose if you wanted to, you could put a little grading scale on how terrible that call either was or wasn't. And it would be kind of neat because obviously you can do a lot with that data once you have it. You can look at, first of all, just cumulative controversial calls, how many, what types of controversial calls. You could definitely see, whether it was a call or a non-call. which ones tend to be the most ticky-tack as opposed to which ones are the most let them play, which ones call the most holding calls. And that Twitter account I reference kind of does do that already. But I just think this would be better to have it all in one place. Again, I'm not undertaking that. I'm not that interested. I suppose you could have, if you wanted to. I mean, I think maybe the best way to do this, you got 32 people. 32 people that want to be on board with this, that are going to essentially submit to you all the controversial BS calls, right? Again, a lot of work involved in this. And I don't know, I shouldn't say, there'd be plenty of interest to make it worthwhile. I guess the problem is you're probably not talking about maybe you are, maybe you could monetize that if you make it cheap enough, $9.99 a month or something to get access to the ref stats. Those are the kind of stupid things that podcasters like me pay for, because that's great content to be able to give the user sort of a behind the scenes thing that they don't just generally know, and they're not going to pay for crap like that. That's why I pay for so many subscriptions. I pay $10 just to be able to use some obscure stat. That's why I pay for the New York Times right now, so I can use their stupid simulator. Why? Because I need to be able to articulate percentages and all that, what's going to happen here, there, or the other thing. And again, I got the Patreon supporters, and they help me pay for all this stuff. Patreon.com/Pack_Daddy, by the way. So, again, maybe that's a big undertaking. It's not something that you can just, one guy can just build off on the side and just kind of let programs run things, Whether you got scrapers or you're running stuff from Python or R or whatever that stuff is, one person more or less can handle that kind of stuff. Something like this would have to be manually done, because I don't think it's being recorded anywhere. I mean, the penalties are, but whether or not they're controversial isn't. And again, the subjectivity, et cetera, et cetera. It's a big undertaking. So I would love if something like that existed, but I don't know if that's something that's ever really going to be built outside of somebody with a random Twitter account, which again does exist. I found it. I forgot what it is, but you can certainly go find it. And if I ever find it again, I'll be sure to mention it on the podcast. But
hello, Ryan.
Hey.
Just wanted to ask a question about what's his name, our center. Okay, for some reason I'm blanking right now. But he had a very low grade and everything. But you've always said, how you watch the film and you kind of notice that our offensive linemen are asked to do kind of impossible things sometimes, and that might be why their grades are lower, because they're basically put in a position to fail.
Right.
I watched just a tiny bit.
And to be clear, this is all for all players across the board. This can ultimately be the case. It's entirely possible that some of these players are good players that are just being put in suboptimal situations. One example that I brought up in the past, this was last year, 2 years ago, whatever, was when Matt LaFleur, the offensive line, whatever, they kept trying to get the offensive linemen to reach linebackers that they were never going to reach. It's impossible to make them reach. Well, of course you're going to have bad PFF grades, because you look at their assignment and you say, did they pass or fail the assignment? Well, they failed the assignment, but it was an impossible assignment. But that's always kind of a tough. We go through that all the time, anyways. Should we fire the defensive coordinator, or is the defensive coordinator screwed because he's dealing with bad players? That's always been an issue. It always will be, and it might potentially be a thing again. Should we fire Jeff Hafley? I'm not talking right now. This is in a couple years. Or is Gutekunst a piece of garbage because he can't find defensive talent? But yeah, that certainly is reflected in PFF grades as well. You hope that PFF tries to sift through that as best as they can. But I don't know to what degree they look at those kinds of things.
They have that much time right now. We were watching a bunch of videos, but there was a video that Kurt Bankert pointed out where our center was basically set up to fail on passing situations. And he said that this was happening over and over, and of course I didn't confirm it. But I'm just wondering if you've looked into this, or you have any insights on Myers. There you go, Josh Myers. Whether he was set up to fail in passing situations due to the silent counts and people being able to kind of time the snap very well. Anyways, just wanted to get your insights. Thanks.
Yeah, so this probably came in either you didn't hear the episode or this came in before I did the episode. But yeah, I went over the whole Kurt Benkert thing. Fully agree with it. Watch the video. Certainly seemed to be a problem. But look, here's what I'll say about that in addition to. I think the reason there's such an outlier for Josh Myers is for that reason. I don't think that's necessarily the case that's Josh Myers is always getting screwed. I think, one of the things that a lot of these data people do when you look at it, what's her name? Cynthia Freeland or whatever, she has a model for who's going to win and what the point score is going to be. And all these people, when they have models, what they do is they run simulations. And they'll run 100,000 or 10,000 simulations. And the reason you do that is because it's hard to capture everything properly in the right one. So you give a bunch of different fields and you give a bunch of different probabilities. You let it run through 10,000 and you begin to develop a better picture. The point I'm making with that is that I think we kind of know what Josh Myers is. We've seen him for several years. I don't think that it's him being in a bad place necessarily. Sometimes these guys are put in great situations. They have great grades. Sometimes they just play well and they have great grades. Sometimes they play poorly and they get bad grades. Sometimes they're put in bad situations and they. But the point is, over the course of years, you kind of look at it and you go, yeah, we know what Josh Myers is and we know, kind of what he does and all that kind of stuff. So, I think he was unfairly criticized. I think that was a coaching mistake. Partially coaching, partially, you potentially put it on Jordan Love because the question is, can we get the play in and run fast enough? This has been a problem for a long time, whether that's the coach not getting the play in or the quarterback taking too long to let the clock run down to 0, which is a problem. The point is that we're timing the snap and he was head up on the center. And so he ran. I mean, it's very easy to tell when they're about to snap the ball, in part because of the clock. And then secondarily, the way that we do a silent count. I don't know that there is a good way to do a silent count when the clock is at 0. There has to be some kind of an indication. But anyways, the coaching staff didn't seem to pick up on it, and the Detroit Lions just feasted on it. And I think the pressure did get better in the second half, so maybe they did make some adjustments. But yeah, they saw something. They coached their guys to do a certain thing, and it was very successful in that situation. That is frustrating, but this is, as I said yesterday, as we talked about yesterday, one of the benefits of having a practice playoff game. You go up against the Lions and they give you their best shot. Okay, now we know. And we know that little trick, not only for you if we see you again, but Seattle and New Orleans and Chicago and Minnesota will know. And I'm sure that's not the only thing they learned from Detroit, because Detroit wanted to punch us in the mouth real hard. So I'm sure they didn't hide anything from us. If anything that they knew about us on tape, they tried to expose. Good. Thank you for that. And no better team to expose it than one of the top teams. So it sucks. It's an embarrassment. It's shot in the gut for the coaching staff and the players, et cetera, et cetera. But I think overall you could argue that it's just going to make the team a little bit better, because these are, some things are not fixable. If you suck at football, if you're an inaccurate quarterback, if you I don't know, wide drops would be, some people can't get that fixed, whatever. Speed you can't fix. These are fixable things. Because we do this a certain way, and because we allow the clock to get down to 0, this can be exploited, so we have to change that.
Hey, Jersey Mike. Hey, Ryan, tell me to F off if I'm being annoying and I won't stop calling. I'm on a thing. I'm on a thing. This Lions game has just woken up a beast inside of me, and
listen, I think it happened for you a little bit longer. This is Saturday, so we're talking Thursday happened, and then Friday. That's 2 days. I don't know. Maybe it's about the same for me, how long it took for me to kind of calm down. There was a period of time of just sort of shock at Lions fans' behavior and just how much it enraged me. to the point where the Lions just shot to the top of the list. I don't like San Francisco. I don't like Chicago. I don't like Minnesota. That's all fine and good. The Lions are at the top. I just not a fan.
I don't know, but I'm just here, sitting here, thinking to myself, oh God, what got me into this mess? I remember why I called, but now I don't remember why I called. No, I called because people are dogging on Matt LaFleur apparently for not throwing the ball enough, because Jordan Love has been throwing the ball really well.
I didn't mean to pick on the guy, and now I saw other people picking on him. It was just meant to be. I got to stop doing this because social media doesn't know intent, and it can just become a thing. I tried to relay it to him after his comment that I was just kind of goofing around or whatever, but the guy, he's just expressing an opinion that Jordan Love's playing well, we should throw more. And I just kind of rolled my eyes and just thought, guys, like, again, he has his own opinion. Maybe he has no allegiance to the run thing, but it is funny because I'm listening to the Packernet After Dark and I'm hearing constantly, we got to run. I'm seeing on social media, run, Matt LaFleur, you piece of crap. And now I'm seeing, you idiot, Matt LaFleur, Jordan Love's playing well and you're running the ball all the time. And it's like, this poor coach cannot do anything right? If we're passing, you should be running. And if we're running, we should be passing. It's just, but again, I don't know. I can't pretend it's the same person. Some people think we should run. Some people think we should pass, and everybody's entitled to their opinion. That's fine. I just thought it was funny in a more macro sense of this fan base is just coming at Matt LaFleur no matter what he does.
Whoa! Oh my God. You people are so stupid. Okay, here's the deal. I know we've established that this is not a real thing. But you run the ball, you establish the run so that you can pass. Okay? But what happened on Thursday was we were having Jordan Love under the rest. The offensive line wasn't doing anything. We were having a problem. So Matt LaFleur said, go out there and set the tone. Offensive line, go out there and push on them. Beat them up. We can get a touchdown here. So yeah, you know what? We got to run the ball. I don't care how much passing or running we do. I don't care about the numbers. What I care about is what's right for the situation. And if you have a problem with Matt LaFleur and his play calling, you're stupid. You're really stupid. I might have a problem with Matt LaFleur and how long it takes to get plays called in. I might have a problem with Matt LaFleur and the kind of message that he sends to the team because I don't know. I don't see the locker room at halftime. But what I don't have a problem with is Matt LaFleur really knows how to call plays. He really freaking does. He is a really intelligent coach. Don't be stupid. Don't start questioning that smart man. Maybe he's got some process problems, but that's it. Anyway, go Pack, go.
Yeah, and it is funny because it seems like we vacillate a lot on the play calling thing. 1 minute the Packers are looking good, and you'll get the former football player guys that are in the media now that'll break down stuff. I forget the guy. What is his name? I can't remember his name. Former quarterback, but he has been gushing all over Matt LaFleur, especially as his run schemes. Like it's wizardry what he's doing. And then we all, as long as we're winning and as long as the offense looks okay, we will accept these things and say he is an absolute genius. And as soon as the offense sputters and, we try God forbid, we try like an end around and that doesn't get any yards, Matt LaFleur is now an idiot again. He's stupid. He doesn't know what he's doing. Whatever, right? It's just, I don't think it's debatable that he's very intelligent. That's always been the case, and that is still the case. That doesn't mean he always does things right. It doesn't mean he came up with the right game plan. It doesn't mean he calls the right plays exactly at the right time. And also, we have to factor in sometimes players mess up. Maybe that end around was the exact right thing to do based on what the defense was doing, but you got a guy that didn't block, and so somebody came right through and tackled him. Maybe the blocking sucks. Maybe the quarterback isn't doing the right things. Maybe the receivers aren't running the right routes. We don't know these things. So it's hard to definitively say this guy's smart, this guy's stupid, whatever. I think we know that Matt LaFleur is intelligent. Is why he got the job. I think we've seen the brilliance on the field. Beyond that, we don't know. Maybe he had a bad day. Maybe the players had a bad day. I don't freaking know. I don't know. But I'm happy he's the coach because of the play calling acumen. Let's take a break. We'll be right back with Kyle from Madison.
Ryan, Kyle from Madison, how are you? I'm watching the Bears-Niners game. Literally, Kenny Albert just said, Brock Purdy? You mean Brock Perfect? Because he's 9 for 9 today, or what?
Ooh.
That is the dumbest thing I think I've ever heard an
9 for
announcer
9.
say in my life. Like, if you have a team writing your stuff, Kenny Albert, you need to just fire them all right now. Or if you made that up on the fly and you think you're like, I bet he's telling all the other guys in the room, like back in the break room, like, dude, did you hear that zinger? Did you hear that? Brock Perfect? Whoa! And they're all like, yeah, Kenny, that was great. What a dumb thing to say. And in fact, it probably most weeks would be the dumbest thing I've heard. Unless, of course, you've talked to a Lions fan this week. And I just listened to your podcast about these just stupid insults, and you're 100% correct. And what we have here, you see, is a group of people that don't know how to insult you because they've never really been in a situation where they were the insulters and not the insulted. You see what I'm saying? So this is just a lack of experience of any kind.
Sure.
In fact, the Lions have made a big mistake here where they've actually they're celebrating, and they've been so used to us beating them down. They're so traumatized by us. They're mistaking sweeping the regular season with the Packers with some kind of freaking award. And yes, the Lions are still in the stage where they are all going to buy NFC North Division champion T-shirts. They're probably going to hang a banner. Probably will. So you got to have a level of understanding with where they are in their development because they're like, 75 years behind us.
Sure.
So it's kind of like if you have a little brother or sibling and they don't know how to like insult you, and then when they first start, they're like, "Yeah, well, you're dumbhead." You know what I mean? Like some 7-year-old little brother.
Yeah.
Your face is stupid. Like that's kind of where they're at right now. They're in their infancy. Unfortunately for them, and they remind me a little bit of some of the older Packer teams, where now they get to sit there at the top of the mountain, not know what to do. Should they rest players? What are they? It's kind of an annoying area to be. And then we're going to come in and beat them in the playoffs. So the Packers have two chances at like a little Super Bowl in the playoffs. They could beat the Lions. I guess they could beat the Eagles or the Vikings too. But then they can actually win the Super Bowl. So we've got a lot of things set up for us. But yeah, Lions fans are just atrocious. Like they embarrass themselves. But that's fine. Print the T-shirts, hang the banner. I'm here for it, you guys. And then they got to do the thing where everybody's nipping at their heels, and it's super annoying the rest of the season. And then they're gonna probably get a bye. I hope they get a bye, because then they're gonna come off the bye a little.
Part 2. Here we go.
But yeah, go ahead, Lions. Get the bye. Come out rusty. Think what doesn't stink. Look, we've been there. We did it with Favre. We've done that routine with Rodgers, like where you think you're the team. And I hope they're overconfident. And I think there's this thing that happens because I think I've done it as a Packers fan, where when you sweep a team, you suddenly don't remember that you actually should have lost or could have easily lost to them the second time. In your mind, you just think, oh, we're just so much better than them. And then, what was it, the 2007 Vikings? We swept them and they beat us in the playoffs. It was horrible. But you just start thinking like you're that much better than them. It's human nature. Oh, we swept them. We swept the Packers. We're so good. We're Detroit. Roar, roar, Lions. That's what they're thinking in their head right now, both the players and the fans. And unfortunately for them, the reality sorry. It's a coin flip game, gang. Just between our two meetings this year, we improved a hell of a lot. So if we get an even 10% improvement next time if we see you, man, I like the Packers' chances. But yes, astute observations. I hadn't really put it into words, but listening to you say it, you're absolutely right. They don't even know how to brag. It's go climb back under the shell you came from, Lions fans, and you're right. They haven't done anything. They had 1 year of winning. They won 2 playoff games. They haven't done anything else. So man, it would make me super, super happy no matter what else happens if we just go into the playoffs and beat the Lions. But hey, if the Packers play their cards right, they might have like an X.
I'll be honest, I think even better than that. Granted, there's a possibility that we get them first or whatever, we're their first game. But one way or another, what I want, whoever does it, I want a first round exit. I just want them one and done, like immediately. That would be the absolute best thing, because now it's like, you freaking suck, bro. Like, you're so trash. Did you do all that just to get bounced round one against that team? Bro, you suck. That's what I want. It'd be cool if we did it. It would be, but it would almost be, I don't know. It would be best if we did it, but you know, if you could just get like the worst of the group to play them, whoever that team would be, and they get bounced by them, you know, if they get bounced by Seattle or something, you know, that wouldn't happen, but I don't know. I'd have to be Washington, and let's just assume Washington is not playing well right now. That would just be funny. It would. Like, bro, you suck so bad.
Exercise the Demons tour a little bit, though, because they may have a shot at the Vikings, the Lions, and the Eagles this year. So we'll see, man. You know, we're going to have postseason football, and we got a good squad. So it's just going to be down to how Supernova can Love get. And can that O-line and D-line just produce a little bit better? It's kind of hard to take the sample size we saw from this Lions team and extrapolate that on to the rest of the league, though the Lions are kind of a special case. I was very comforted by what they were able to do in the run game, but yeah, we got to figure out how we can cover the middle of the field, but it's interesting, man. Is Saleh still in the building? Do we know? Just side question. I'm curious if Saleh is still there. And as a side question, don't you think LaFleur's like kind of secretly wants him as D coordinator? Don't you?
Probably.
I don't think he's going to get a head coaching offer right away, is he? I don't know. But you got to think he's like, man, if we could just switch Hafley with Saleh. I don't know if they do something that bold, especially if he's got a top 10 defense by the end of this thing. But
Part 3. Let's see if it's. I'll just jump in real quick. I think and honestly, I would sign off on it. I like Hafley, I really do. But Hafley is sort of, what we want from Hafley is for him to kind of be Saleh, right? Saleh was able to bring his Saleh stuff to the 49ers, and he brought it to the Jets. If nothing else, that defense was really good. And, you could say it's the players. Maybe it is. I don't know. But, that's kind of what you want from Hafley, is to be Saleh, sort of. So I would sign off. I don't see a path, though. I mean, they certainly are not going to do it that way. The only way that would work is if Hafley were to get hired away somewhere, which is, I don't think, going to happen. I mean, unless he wants to go back to college. But even that, I don't know. And he doesn't. I don't know. I don't know what the path would be for him to get off this team. The only thing would be, after 1 year, we fire him and hire Saleh. But even that is like, you want to do all that? You want to fire this guy after 1 year and then bring in Saleh, who's probably going to get hired away after a year, if Saleh even says yes to a DC job right now? I don't think that's going to be a thing, man.
Hey, Kyle from Madison again. I just needed to call back. Maybe the second dumbest thing I heard said today was by Jonathan Vilma, Kenny Albert's co-host for the Bears-Niners game. He just said, the Bears are keeping the Niners offense off the field. It's the best thing they're doing right now. Dude, it's 24-0 late in the second half. What are we talking about? Yeah, they're going on like a 14-play 10-minute drive, and then they're probably going to turn the ball over anyway. I'm sorry, but yeah, the game's bad. The announcers are bad. The whole thing's bad. Just the whole thing's bad. Other than the fact the Bears are losing it, the whole thing's bad. But hey, at least they're keeping the offense off the field. Maybe they can. There are no words. Anyway, I'll let you do the mockery. I'm just bringing information to you.
I mean, bottom line, they don't know how to act, man. I mean, they're acting out of control. They're acting wild and crazy. You would expect them to be a little bit more humble, but I think I mentioned before that they've got so much pent up hatred. They've been hiding and playing this little soft, docile, like, oh, we're just happy to be here. Like, oh, we know we struggle, and we've been nice to them the whole freaking time. By the way, shame on us apparently for taking it easy on them. Little did we know, while we're over here basically saying nothing, just some kind of a random truce, as soon as they're on top, do we get that? No. Now, especially the Packers, because obviously everybody hates the Packers in the NFC North because they've been on top the most. And so, they are just unleashing holy hell. And they don't know how to act, man. So that's fine. The one thing that they haven't learned, and I think this is the reason why some fan bases take at least a little bit off, is because when you talk a lot about how you're going to smoke somebody and then you lose, the bounce back from that stings a little bit, you know? I mean, as you probably know, I grew up in Illinois, a Packer fan. And, when the Packers and Bears would play and the Packers would lose, which was very rare, and you hear that phone ringing upstairs and you know that it's your friend calling, like the second the game's over, your phone rings, you know it's your buddy calling, and your mom's going to pick up and he says, "Hey, is Ryan there?" And then you hear, "Ryan, John's on the phone." It's like, oh, God. It's not fun, dude. It's insult to injury. As much as this already hurts, now you got people rubbing it in your face. You do that enough times, you get hurt enough. I mean, they know what hurt is, but it's a whole different thing. They just know they're going to be bad all the time, so they don't talk. Now they don't know anything. They've been talking, and there's been no pushback. So it's just like, this is great. We just get to talk and yell and scream and do all this stuff, and there's no negative repercussions for any of this. And they've been able to do this for the last 2 years. I mean, remember, they were not very good. They didn't make the playoffs, so there wasn't much talking. Last year, win the North, get further in the playoffs than everybody else. This year, basically undefeated record, going to win the North, potentially going farther than everybody. Like, they've not had anybody in the North since last year really be able to say anything to Detroit. So they got to start, taking some shots here. It starts with losing in Buffalo, right? That's not going to be super fun, but it's not going to fully knock them down. Then again, like I said, they got to lose. Somebody's got to make, obviously I'm rooting for the Packers, but somebody's got to make it farther than Detroit. And if the Packers are not going to be it, and I do not want the Vikings to go to the Super Bowl, don't get me wrong, but if there's any chance for them to just get one round farther or to just beat them in the playoffs, I will be okay with that. Because at least then the Vikings can smack them in the mouth and be like, "Bro, you're not even as good as the Vikings. You're trash. You're straight trash, bro." They need to be humbled. That's it. Which is shocking that the Lions and their fans need to be humbled. That's a very crazy thing, but this is the world we live in today, apparently.
Hey, Ryan. Pac-Man.
What's up?
Gave it just about 72 hours after our loss, our heartbreaking loss, to examine the rest of the NFL. The WWNFL, which I like to refer to it as.
I get it.
It seems to me like it's sick. I don't know how else to describe it. After our game, when we got 2 missed penalties, our quarterback got rifled in the head by an ex-player.
Yeah.
And the other one, his helmet and head almost turned upside down or off his body. And we didn't get called on that. And then the Watson call for like a little shoulder bump when we could have won the game. I think that was pretty ridiculous. But now we're watching the Bills and the Rams, and this is pretty ridiculous. I don't remember the last time the Rams scored as many points. It might have been a couple of years ago against another SHIT team. I don't want to swear on your podcast.
Thanks.
But yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think the Packers did a good job the other day, despite the Watson fumble. That was kind of ridiculous. You can't hold the ball on your shoulders and expect to not fumble that shit, but whatever. We'll let it go. He made a big play at the end of the game. You know, that's not what beat us. The Lions didn't even beat us. The guys with the Foot Locker jerseys beat us, I think.
Yeah.
With that statement said, I'm not afraid of the Bills, obviously. They're losing to the Rams, which we smoked. I'm not afraid of the Lions. I'm not afraid of Minnesota. Niners aren't a thing, but that's great. We pretty much buried those. So I'm not even afraid of the Chiefs with the other Foot Locker jerseys. I'm worried about the refs and the rest of this season. So, on that note, we'll see how the rest of this NFL season goes.
Got him with the 3 minutes there. I do appreciate trying not to swear, at least. That's a good effort. But here is part 2, Pac-Man Jersey Jim.
Not sure if the 3-minute monster hit me, Brian, but just so the rest of the Packer fans here, if I was into drama, and I might be repeating myself, I'd watch Yellowstone or the WWE. I want to watch some football. So
Always trying to get me to watch Yellowstone. I don't think I want to. I feel like I watched a few minutes of it and didn't like it. I'm trying to stay away. She hasn't mentioned it in a couple days, but let me know if I should indulge. I don't think I want to.
Bring back the NFL. Roger Goodell, you can get rid of Taylor Swift and all this jazz and all these Germany games. Bring the NFL back home to America and you know what? Make football great again, because this is getting kind of stupid. Anyways, go Pack, go. Rah, rah. See you in the playoffs, guys. Peace.
Yeah, I think we can make football better, that's for sure. I think you all know my number one request, and that is more technology and more people up in the booth. I don't know how many people it would take. Probably not 10 like I've been recommending. I'm just saying that wouldn't be the worst thing. It would probably, again, it would save money because you don't need to spend $250,000. You also don't need to ship these guys all around. They could all just be sitting in New York. Just have a big office area with all the different referees for all the different games. In fact, you could have referee crews doing double time. You could have the noon crew, and then a handful of them go over to the 3 o'clock, and then some of them go over to the 7 o'clock or whatever. You know what I mean? They make a little bit of extra money or something. I don't know. Maybe the entirety of the group can do it. I don't know. But, because there's not penalties on every single play, so you could probably pool resources here. It's like, we got a big call here. Okay, well, pretty much everybody can look up on the board and make a determination or whatever. You know what I mean? I'm picturing like this whole, like in the movies when you got like the war room and they've got that big giant TV up in front with a bunch of guys sitting there at their desks facing that giant screen with a bunch of other screens around or whatever. Probably like a big table at the front where you can like move your war pieces. I don't know. All right, I'm gonna leave it at that. We're gonna skip a day on the Christmas beefing and whatnot, but we will continue the holiday tradition soon enough. Just not today. I'm just not doing the work today. Have a good one. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.